All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Stephanie Liu. I'm the Director of Communications at Agora Pulse. And I've got my good friend here, Mike Alton, the Head of Partnerships. Mike, how you doing, friend?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It is Social Media Day, and it is one of the most exciting events because this is a day for us to talk about how far social media has come, where we expect it to go, and not only that, but where Agora Pulse can really set the stage and say, this is what we're doing. This is what separates us from the sea of sameness, and this is why you and I should be working together as far as social media management and so much more. What are your thoughts?
Oh, this is so exciting. I love this day. I've been going to social media day events. Well, this event here in San Diego for years. And I got to say, I was really excited to do this live because I thought for once I was going to be able to say, I am coming to you live from sunny San Diego, except there's no sun.
Yeah,
Where's the
that's very
sun?
true. So here's what you can expect, friends, is that we are live from San Diego, but we're going to be live with Emmerich Erno, our co-founder over at Agora Pulse and CEO. And we're going to be live from Paris, and then we're going to pass the mic, head on over to Doc in Germany. We've got a country regional manager over there. Then we'll be going into the UK. You'll get to meet Aaron Desi, who heads up our team over there. And then we come back to the United States and Canada, where you get to meet the rest of the team. You'll meet Daryl Prale, our CMO. We'll have Teresa Anderson. We've got so much going on for you today just to talk about Agora Pulse and social media live all the way around the world. That's going to be a ton of fun. Yeah. So, hey, if you're just tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from. So, as you know, I'm here in San Diego. We got Mike out here for Social Media Day, San Diego, for that conference that's coming up. So, if you're in the San Diego area, come out, say hi. We've still got room to welcome you here.
Absolutely. We've got Brian and Paul who say they're just so excited for this show. They're just so excited to hear from Emmerich and what's going on, what's on tap, what do we have new that's going to help them with their social media business from Agorapulse. This is fun.
Oh, Brian Gladwell, Key West in the house.
Woo!
Yay. Oh, wait, hold on. So happy to have you here. Welcome to the show. So, having said that, Mike, I think we could jump in with the first trailer and then let's hit the road with Emmerich.
Absolutely. Let's get this going here.
The people.
La gente, las personas que trabajan, mis compañeros.
En tant que CTO, je dirais évidemment la technologie.
My team. C'est vous.
Ce qui est le plus incroyable dans le fait de travailler pour Agora Apple, c'est de voir quelque chose qui est parti du néant et qui grandit, et de se dire qu'une partie de cette croissance-là, c'est mon travail qui l'a créé.
That's one of the most exciting things when I first started over at Agora Pulse is just the diversity of the team in all the different places. And I think a huge part for me, because I'm the newest member on the team, was really, wow, everyone, everyone gets to see each other. We have these weekly meetings on Wednesdays. You get to hear from Emmerich and just everyone just to find out what's going on in the company. And so just seeing that video, I'm like, wow, I can't wait to see everyone in person.
Yeah, that was filmed at our retreat 3 years ago. Up in Normandy, and it was such a magical time to be in that one location in person with so many people from around the world, all these different cultures and worldviews. It's a lot of fun to work in this company.
I love it. I love it. All right. So let's go ahead and let's talk about who we have coming up on the show right now. We have Emmerich Erno, who is the co-founder of Agora Pulse, right? Which, as you all know, it's a social media management tool used by more than 11,000 businesses across 180 countries. And as a social media marketing pioneer, Emmerich has advised well-known international brands such as Virgin, Microsoft, among others. And in his spare time, Emmerich loves to kite surf and fly drones. Mike, I didn't know he actually flew drones, because that's one thing that I need to go ahead and check out. And so, friends, as a young French lawyer, Emmerich moved to Washington, D.C. to practice law. And after he decided, it just wasn't for him. So he started a French Facebook social network and a B2B community software company while juggling other jobs on the side. That's probably one thing that I admire most about Emmerich. He's the type where it's like, hey, I'm doing a 5K, I'm doing running, I'm doing the gym. And I bet you at the same time, he's listening to an audiobook or just learning something more to expand his mindset. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
All right. So let's bring him on. Yeah.
There he
Look at
is.
you. Ah, how are you?
I love the introduction. Love it. My ego feels amazing right now.
As it should. As it should. I mean, wow.
You know,
That
one of our
meant
company values is no ego or something like that. So I should be ashamed of myself at the same time, which is kind of difficult, a difficult thing to be, right?
no ego, amigo. No, it's actually quite something to be very proud of. As I said before, as the newest member of Agora Pulse, just seeing the team at different events, I've always seen the presence of Agora Pulse, and now being on the other side, where I get to experience your mindset, your thought, and how you lead the team is just so inspiring. Seeing Jenny, Megan, the rest of the crew, it's been really fun just to see how everyone works together.
Thank you.
Good. All right. So having said that, Emmerich, you have a fantastic presentation. And so once you have that loaded up into the studio, Mike will get that all squared away for you.
Yeah.
And so while you get that going, Brian Gladwell, let us know what you're excited most about social media. Did you hear about Instagram Reels and the API? Mike and I were just geeking out about that.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that soon.
Love it. All right. So I'll pull myself out of the studio. Emmerich, the floor is yours.
Here we go. Okay, so that's keynote I did in San Diego for Social Media Marketing World, and I made a couple of changes since then because we had some new features and new data set that were quite interesting. So I've updated it. And that is about social media ROI, proving your worth in 2022. Just so you know, guys, I have no notes on this view, so I'm doing it totally freestyle based on what I remember from the deck, but I think my memory is good enough. I rehearsed this one so much that I think I still remember it quite well. So the first slide here is about a report that Social Media Examiner has been running for 13 years about basically the state of our industry or the social media marketing industry. And in that report, they ask questions to the people who give, who answer the questions that they ask their poll, or I don't know how this is run. It's probably a poll. And they ask, one of the questions in the poll is, what are your biggest challenges or your biggest struggles? And for 13 years in a row, i.e. for each and every single report, Social Media Examiner industry report, social media ROI was one of the top concerns. I don't remember exactly how many concerns or struggles that they mentioned, but it was one of the top, and it's been consistently a concern for 13 years. Like there was not one year where social media ROI was not something that was bothering professionals working on social media. So it's already telling you something, that there's a problem here that nobody is tackling, nobody's trying to solve. And the story I want to share with you today is actually a real story of a real person, and that person is Fiona. And Fiona was one of our clients 4 years ago. And she was working for a brand called Brayola. And Brayola is women underwear brand. And as she was the customer experience person for that brand. And one of the things she was in charge of was to manage social media. And in order to manage social media, she started to answer questions in the comments that were posted on the ads that Brayola was running. And they were running a lot of ads. And in those ads, under those ads, people were coming in and asking questions about the product. They were asking questions like, do you have this product in different color? Do you have this product in a different size? What's your return policy if I want to return my product? Do you ship in my country? What are the different options? And so on and so forth. So all these questions, people were going under the ad, on the Facebook ad at the time, and asking those questions in the comments. And Fiona thought, my role as a customer experience person is to make that experience of someone who's a potential customer amazing. So I'm going to go and reply to these comments and reply to those questions. And it was a lot of work. Like, they were hundreds of comments like these per week. And what she also wanted to do is she went, for example, if someone was asking for a specific size or a specific color or the return policy, she always wanted to put the direct link. Oh, here's the link to that product in that size. Here's the link to that product in that color. Here's the link to our return policy or shipping, or the countries we're shipping to, all that stuff. So she was giving them the direct link to the page on their e-commerce website where people could find the answer to their question. Very quickly, it became absolutely unbearable for Fiona to do that. And what she did something smart. She went on and hired 2 VAs in the Philippines, if I remember correctly. And she basically showed them, this is how I answer questions. This is, this is where I add the link. And she gave them the recipe of how to do it right. And in a matter of weeks, like a couple of weeks, those 2 VAs were able to completely offload that work away from her. So that was great because as a customer experience person, she had a lot of other stuff than answering comments on Facebook to do for the company. And she was, able to free up a lot of time every week thanks to that choice. But the problem is pretty quickly after that, her boss saw the expense that was incurred by those 2 VAs. And the expense was £2,000. And her boss came to her and said, Fiona, do we really need to spend £2,000 on this? Is this something that's really necessary? And the problem with Brayola at the time, it was still a startup. The company was not making money. It was not profitable. And her boss was the kind of boss who is very, very profit centric, focused, and money, and be very careful about how they spend their money. And obviously, Fiona thought that this was absolutely necessary to answer these comments because these were potential clients. And she also knew as a customer experience person that this was the right thing to do, not to let comments asking questions that are basically sending the message, I'm ready to buy. Please show me where the product I want to buy is. They needed an answer, and it was good for the business. It was good for the brand, the business. So I was actually convinced that this was the right thing to do. She couldn't do it because she had all these other tasks and all these other missions that she had to carry on with. But her boss was not the right thing to do type of boss. She was the show me the money type of boss. Like, is this worth our business and our expense, like our spending? What she did, which I thought was really, really smart, is she went back to the team of VA and she asked them, guys, starting today, I need you to add to every single link that you post in the comments. I need you to add those trackable parameter, those UTM parameter. So putting a link to a specific color of a bra, go put UTM underscore source equal Facebook, medium equal FB comment, campaign equal whatever. And she showed them how to define the source and the medium and the campaign, so it would be easy later on to recognize the source of whatever is happening after this link has been posted as a comment on Facebook. And the team of VA started to manually copy and paste, finding the link, to the color, to the return policy, to the size, to whatever product that they wanted to direct people to, finding that link, pasting that link inside the comment they were replying to the prospect in Facebook, and then copying and pasting the UTM. So lots of manual work for sure. Quite difficult to do at scale, but at least now she had the possibility to measure what was happening after the link was being posted on Facebook. And 30 days later, she opened Google Analytics because she was, as many of us are, using GA to measure revenue and conversion on her website. So she opened GA, and her surprise was quite grand because she basically saw that £4,000 of revenue in GA was directly attributed to those links, to those UTMs. So that team in the Philippines was costing the company £2,000 per month, and they were generating £4,000 of revenue that, without a shadow of a doubt, was directly attributed to that team of VA and the effort that they were putting on day in and day out to answer questions from prospects under the Facebook ads in the comments and adding links, sending them to the website. £2,000 of expense, £4,000 of revenue, profit, £2,000. You may think that this is not a lot, but for Fiona, it was everything, because it was the possibility for her to get back to her boss and say, hey, boss, you challenged my decision to spend £2,000 on 2 virtual assistants to help me address comments on our Facebook ads. And I totally understand why. We are a startup. We don't have a lot of money. Every pound that we spend has to mean business. I totally get that because I'm business savvy myself. So this is what I've done. I put together a process allowing me to prove that this was a worthy thing to do business-wise. And this is the result. It brought £4,000. It cost £2,000. It's £2,000 of profit. So can I keep my team of VAs? And of course, her boss says, absolutely, you should keep your team of VAs. Great job. Great work. Amazing, Fiona. And as small as £2,000 may sound, it was game changing because it allowed her to keep an expense that she probably couldn't have kept if she had not been in a position to prove the £4,000. So what happened right after that happened is that Fiona came to me, and again, she was a client. They were managing the comments on those Facebook ads. They were managing them using Agorapulse because that's one of the things we do quite well. And that's why she was using Agorapulse. But she came to me and she said, Emmerich, I need you to help me solve this manual copying and pasting of links and UTM parameters on every link we post hundreds of times per week is not humane. It's incredibly boring, difficult. It doesn't scale. It's prone to errors. So can't you help me solve that? And at the time, we didn't have the bandwidth. It was not a priority I could push, and we could not solve that problem. And I was quite bugged by this because she told me that when I use HubSpot to do my email marketing or marketing automation, when I use MailChimp to do my email newsletter, when I do my ads on social platforms or search engines, where I run my affiliate program, when I use all these tools, they don't ask me to manually copy and paste stuff on my links to make them trackable. It makes no sense that on social, it's the only place where I have to do that. And I had to agree with her. It made no sense. It was not logic. It was not practical. And there was no reasonable explanation as to why social was the only place where nothing was tracked, basically. So very unfortunately, 3-4 years ago, I couldn't do anything about it, but it kind of became my obsession to solve for that problem, because I thought that was a problem worth solving. And I've already witnessed the impact of solving that problem for Fiona. Obviously, she solved it manually, but I thought there's something we can definitely do. So the first step I took in that direction was to ask my team to analyze our data, because obviously, Fiona's situation was really inspiring, and Fiona's solution to the problem was really inspiring. But I had to figure out, is Fiona unique? Is what she's doing unique? And we call that in our business, we call that it's an edge case. Very few people do that, so we probably don't want to solve for that. Or is it something that's quite widespread and it's a common practice in our industry? So I asked my data team and product team to look into our own data, and they looked at 10,650,000 posts that have been posted on Agorapulse in the past 12 months, and excluding Instagram, because you're not posting links on Instagram, even though we did find out that there were a couple of Instagram posts with links in them, which is quite awkward. But excluding Instagram, 10.6 million of posts were analyzed. And out of these 10.6 million of posts, 3.4 millions almost contained a link. That's 32% of all posts published using Agorapulse. 32%, 1 out of 3 almost, contained a link. So what that told me is that what Fiona did with her team of VA, i.e. inserting links into posts or comments or social media content, was not an edge case. It was actually shared by a third of all the posts, and probably, as I know, we do post some stuff on social that contain link and some others that don't. So I think we can almost assume that every company, every business that posts on social media puts some links here and there. Not on every post, but 1 out of 3, that would make sense. So that was a very widespread usage. Now, the next question you may ask yourself, and I definitely ask myself, is okay, 3.4 million links. How many of them did the same thing Fiona did with her team of VA, i.e. adding tracking parameters to them? And that next statistics is going to blow your mind. It was 65,800. That's 1.8%. That means that 1.8% of all these links, these 3.4 million links, contained tracking parameter. It's almost nothing. It's almost like as if none of them contain tracking parameters, like Fiona was adding manually one by one. 1.8%. What that means on the other side, it means that 98.2% of social media posts that could have led to a website visit, a trackable website visit, or conversion, or a free trial, or an add to cart, or a purchase will never be tracked. That means that 98.2% of you guys who are posting stuff on social media are probably generating amazing results, are being incredibly successful, but you will never find out. You will never know if what you're doing is actually working, because you're not tracking what's happening after the post is being done. 98% of you. That definitely was a wake-up call. I can tell you that we were the 98.2%. We were not adding anything to our links before. So it's not a blame. It's a fact that we were not doing the job before. So the next thing I did, because now we had the use case, we had the data backing that the use case is not unique, and it's actually a lot of people who are putting links but not tracking them. The next thing I wanted to do is to make sure that what looked like a big problem was a problem worth solving. So we did decide to run a poll, and we surveyed 300 social media marketers about the business impact on social media and how they felt about it and how they addressed it. So the first question in this poll was, how important is it for you to measure the business impact of social media? At 98%, so 98% of those 300 respondents said it is somewhat or extremely important to do it. So it is important to do it. Some of them were saying it's somewhat important for me to measure the business impact of social media. And some of them said it is extremely important for me to measure that. So 98% thinks they should be measuring that because it's important. The next question, which kind of is the obvious next step. Okay, it is important. 98% of you. Are you measuring it today? 35% said that we're measuring the revenue or the leads generated from social media. So for 35%, they were doing it, taking it the other way around. 65% were not doing it. It's quite interesting. 98% of the respondents said it is important somewhat or extremely to measure it, but 65% are not going to do it. And I would even challenge the 35% who said that they were measuring revenue or leads generated from social, because when you look at the stats I shared with you earlier, i.e. 1.8% of the links are tracked, i.e. 98% of the posts containing links will never be tracked. I'm wondering if among those 35%, some people were not guesstimating or just, plain bullshitting themselves and not saying the truth, or not understanding what that actually meant. So that's the second question. The third question was why? Okay, you think it's important to do it. Too few of you do it, at best 1 out of 3. 100% thinks it's important, 1 out of 3. So 2 out of 3 are not doing it. Why are you not doing it? And the answers we got were quite broad, but if I had to summarize what we got, there was a level of complexity. The tools are complex, the way to do it is complex, the manual part is complex. There was a part of cost. It's too expensive. I have to buy tools that cost too much money, or put together a tech stack that costs too much money, or the manual tracking takes too much manual time and that costs too much money. Those were the replies that we got: complexity or cost. Said, I don't know how to do it, which is also an answer we got pretty often: lack of knowledge, time, lack of buy-in, manual process constraint. So these were the answers. So at the end of the day, it is important to do it, but we're not doing it, and we have a lot of good excuse not to do it. Let's put it this way. Now that we knew that, next question is, okay, what are the consequences of that thing you should be doing but you're not doing because you have all sorts of excuses not to do it? What are the consequences? For 88%, they felt that not measuring the business results of their work would negatively impact their career progression. 9 out of 10 were telling us that because they couldn't track the business impact of social media, their career would be negatively impacted. Like, let's that sink in for a minute. 9 out of 10 thinks their career is going to be negatively impacted. That's huge. That was breathtaking to me. I was really not expecting such a high number. Then the next one was from agencies. So those respondents who were agencies said that at 65%, it was difficult for them to attract or retain clients. So wow, that's a big one. If you're an agency, attracting and retaining clients is probably the one thing you should be amazing at and feel very comfortable that you can do it with confidence. And 65% said, well, if I can't prove the business impact of my work, it's going to be hard for me to retain clients or attract new clients. 77% felt that they were not an important part of the business strategy. 77% of respondents felt that they were not important, basically. They were not listened to. Their weight in the company was negligible. And that's not great. It's 3 out of 4. So 3 out of 4 felt that by not measuring the business impact, they wouldn't be an important part of the business strategy. And the thing is that it is true. Too often, social media is perceived as a necessary evil, as something that must be done, not bringing business value. Basically, as a cost center and not a profit center. And the thing with cost centers is that company leaders, business leaders, CEOs such as me, when we look at our business and how it operates, we push, fund, increase team members in the profit centers. So, but when we look at cost centers, we tend to have a vision that shrinks them. Like we tend to want to reduce them, make them small. We want the cost centers to remain as small as possible, and we want the profit center to grow in terms of team and budget. That's what we do. And that's why social media professionals felt, that's 3 out of 4 of them, that if they couldn't convince their CEO or their CMO or their VP of marketing that what they were doing was a profit center, they would have a hard time weighing in the strategic decision of the business. So what are our options now that we know all this? We can commit to the manual work to prove the business impact and the ROI of what we do. That's what Fiona did. After all, that worked, right? The thing is, we don't want to do the manual work. I don't want to do the manual work. I'm pretty darn sure that none of you want to do the manual work either. So that one is not going to work. The second, we can hire VAs. We can hire a lot of VAs and, hey, I don't want to do the manual work. Do it for me, please. That's true. Fiona eventually did that as well. But in the end, it doesn't scale because these are human beings. And human beings are hard to manage. They're hard to find. They quit. They don't show up in the morning. And it's a very boring job to them. So all I said before, which is they quit and don't show up in the morning, is probably going to be much higher in that type of job, which is not particularly exciting. Copying and pasting UTM parameters on links is not something that's going to make people excited about their day. So in my opinion, this is something a machine needs to solve, not a human being. And I think if we respect human beings, we probably don't want them to have this kind of work and do that all day long. The third possibility is to ignore the problem. And we have to admit that we've been amazing at ignoring the problem for the last 13 years, because the industry report from Social Media Examiner keeps telling us every year for 13 years, this is a big problem, social media ROI. It's one of our top concerns. So we've been doing a good job at ignoring the problem. And finally, we could accept our fate. At the end of the day, not everything you do online is trackable. There's a lot of dark social. There is a lot of stuff that you can't track. And there are a lot of people who say that's fine, that's okay. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been building businesses and solving problems for 20 years. I don't accept my fate. And yes, not everything is trackable. Absolutely. I'm not saying that you can track all the good that's coming out of your work on social media. You can't track everything. But if you can track something, shouldn't we do it? If there's something we can do about that, that's showing us, even if it's only 20% of the value we create or 30% or whatever it is, shouldn't we at least give it a try? And that's my take, and that's my position on that. So we decided to reimagine social media and make it, or push it as close as possible to a profit center, not a cost center. So you wouldn't feel 3 out of 4, remember, that you don't have any weight on the strategic decision the business is making. You wouldn't feel 9% out of 10 that your career is going to be negatively impacted, and you're not going to have the amazing career that you would dream to have for yourself. That all these things would go away because suddenly what you do is a profit center and not a cost center. We decided to solve for that problem, and we started that journey a year ago. So we built the tool Fiona needed, and we needed to as a company. And I'm telling you, everything I shared here, the cost center, the 9 out of 10 feel that it's going to negatively impact their career. We felt that pain inside our company as well. It took us, we're a social media management company. It took us, and it took me, I'm going to totally own this, 8 years to hire a social media manager. 8 years. For 8 years, we operated a social media management tool without a social media manager, the person in charge of social media inside our company. Can you let that sink in as well? Even me, I had trouble justifying someone managing our social media presence. So that's telling you something about how impactful this inability to prove the return on investment, to prove the impact on the business is strong. Because even us who were in the middle of that industry, super well aware of everything you could do, had trouble making that decision of spending a significant amount of money to pay someone to own that. So this is not, I'm not making this up. We lived that pain in our bones and flesh for real. So we decided to build that solution that's making everything trackable seamlessly. You don't have to do anything. The machine is solving that for you. No need for an army of VA doing that for you. Gathering all the relevant Google Analytics data in just one click, super easy, super seamless, and proving social media ROI once and for all. That was our vision, and that's our mission. That's the problem we want to solve, and we built the feature for that. Now, I am totally aware that this may be difficult to believe, so I decided to take a couple of screenshots. I'm not going to share the names of the clients except for us. This is ours, by the way. I'm not going to share the name of the clients or the other screenshot, but I took screenshot of customers. I took screenshot of our own dashboard. It's just part of the dashboard, but it's significant enough. And then some of our customers' dashboard, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. So this is ours. Social media has generated 9,700 website visitors in the last 30 days. Okay, that's good. Good to know, first and foremost. And we've had 40 conversions. I mean, goals in Google Analytics, they're called goals. those are things we defined. So it's our own definition, and that's why it makes sense. So 40 of the things that we want our audience to do happened in the last 30 days, and based on the value we attributed to those goals, it was worth $9,000. So suddenly we move from, I'm not sure how much social media is generating for my business, to, okay, social media is generating the equivalent of $9,000 of actions on the website. And this may or may not feel like a big amount of money for a company that's making close to 1.5 million of revenue per month. I agree. But at least it is something. And you know what? It is something that we get without starting to focus on how we can improve it. And that's the next step. Now we're going to improve that number. Say now we have a benchmark. Now we know what we do that works and how we can work on that to make that 9,000 be 18,000 in 2 months, maybe 40,000, who knows? Because we know we can measure it, and what can be measured can be improved. The next thing that was uber interesting for me was to see what networks were working best for us. And as you can see here, it was Twitter. So 50% of all those conversions happen from Twitter. And it's a value of $5,000 in terms of conversions. And when you think about it, you're basically convinced that Twitter and LinkedIn are the two social networks that we absolutely have to invest the most in because of that. And you know what? Twitter wasn't the social network I didn't have any faith into for our own business. I was almost thinking, why bother spending time to have a real strategy on Twitter? I don't think, Twitter is not going anywhere, but it's not growing. It's not huge. We probably should focus more on YouTube or LinkedIn. Well, LinkedIn, I think I would have focused on anyway, but Twitter, I really was not enthusiastic about it. And when I saw this, I said, okay, I'm wrong. The tool proved me wrong and told me that I should not disregard Twitter because it's actually working for us. So that was really interesting for me to see, and it definitely changed my mind about what social network I should have my team invest in. So that's one. The next one is much more significant in terms of money. And by the way, this one is the previous one, which was ours. I'm getting back to it. Oh, it's revenue generated. So that's the same. We generated revenue. So the previous one is revenue generated as well, and it's 40,000, almost 40,000. So it's 4 times bigger, a little bit more than 4 times bigger than ours. And that company is an e-commerce company. They sell things online. They sell 3D printing online, and they got almost 60,000 visitors to their website coming from social, and they sold 405 products for a total of $41,000. That's tremendous. That's absolutely amazing. And what you can see as well is there's the split of social network that's working for them is completely different from ours. Ours is Twitter number 1, LinkedIn number 2. For them, it's totally Facebook number 1, like big time, and YouTube number 2. So it's also telling you that this business should invest on Facebook and YouTube, probably much more than we should, even though it may be that we are not great on YouTube because our presence there is not good enough, which is possible. I'm not, ignoring that, but the level of intel that this is giving you helps you make choices as to what social network. And obviously, there are a lot of other stats. You can see which specific social profile, if you have many, is generating those revenue and conversion. Which team member, which type of campaign, which type of landing page you're sending traffic to. So there's a lot you can learn. I'm only showing you the super high level version of the dashboard, but that already is helping you making better decision on where to invest your money, your time, and your resources on social media. And that last slide is, so the first company is an e-commerce fashion company. They sell clothes. The second is and it's American, of course. You can see the currency, it's in dollar. The second is a Swedish company. That's a grocery chain in Sweden. And the third is a hotel chain, a boutique hotel chain in the UK. And you can see that all of them design, fashion, clothes, online, e-commerce, grocery store, offline, and hotel, offline as well. All of them got revenues. You see that total generated revenues. All of them got revenues generated from social media, the revenues that they probably didn't know about, or they probably were not measuring before. And today, these three brands, some of them being e-commerce, some of them being offline, some of them being hotel, some of them being B2C selling groceries, they all have the ability to see which profile is working best for us, which team member is doing best for us, which campaign, which keyword, which type of content, which format is. Do we make more money when we interact with our clients via DM or PM, via comments, via posts? That the level of insight is like 100 times better than what they have today. So now they can benchmark themselves with their existing numbers, and they can improve and create better strategies thanks to that. So that's the dashboard. Now I totally understand that this requires buying a tool, ours, and we don't want to feel like you have to buy our tool. We've always had a mindset and a culture and a value that we want to help this industry as much as we can, and we're here to build a tool that helps you. If you can afford the tool, amazing. If you cannot, we're going to find a solution so you can benefit from that. You'll have to do the work, but you can benefit from that. And you can also measure social media ROI. And what we did, we went to Christopher Penn, who is one of the geekiest social media analytics measurement person I know of. He's absolutely excited and passionate about measuring social media and measuring social media ROI. And we asked Chris to build a course to help you measure social media ROI. And we paid Chris to build that course because it's a lot of work and it deserves to be paid. So we did that. So you don't have to pay. Normally, Chris charges, I think, close to $500 when you create courses like that. You don't have to pay anything for that course because we paid for it. So go ahead. You can go to that link, but you probably want to scan this QR code on the slide, or go to bit.ly/3MB75CX, which is the link right there. I don't know if there's a chat where you are, but we can probably put the link in the chat if you want to click on that link and access that course. But that course will help you understand how that works and how you can replicate and reproduce what our tool is doing with a little bit of manual work. Of course, that's why the tool, the machine here was built so human beings don't have to do that. But if you have more time and less money, it's totally okay. This course is going to tell you exactly how to achieve what we're achieving with the tool without the expense. So that's our gift to you. I hope this is going to be helpful. Do not hesitate to share that with people who are doing social media marketing in their job. It's free. I promise. You will not have an SDR calling you on the phone the day after you start. I think there are 4 or 5 follow-up emails when you start the course. Hopefully you'll find it interesting, but we're not trying to sell you anything when you follow that course. So trust my words. And if you don't, send me an email. My email is emric@agorapulse.com. I will be more than happy to discuss with you about your social media ROI challenges. And you can also find me on LinkedIn on that link, or you can search for Emric Ernoult on LinkedIn, and you're going to find me. And I'd love to hear your social media ROI stories. And I hope that you enjoyed that presentation and that you had a good time. And that's it.
Eric, that was awesome. Woo woo! I love this. I mean, honestly, coming from an agency perspective, I would sit across from the paid media team, I would sit across from the PR team, and I remember being in those meetings with clients, and they would say, well, what about social? What has that done for us? And no matter how many times I would say, well, look at these comments, look at these engagements. At the end of the day, they wanted to see the data. They wanted to see how social was assisting the other disciplines that were out there. And for me, I really wanted to know, what is the impact of my team? Because if I want to build my resources, my team, get them the education that they needed, I had to validate what we had to offer. And so just being able to simplify the process, I mean, that's the ultimate sophistication. That's the chef's kiss, It's like, boom, here we are, drop the mic.
Yeah, we have to give credit to the customer, because when you're building a product, a software, it always has to come from customer discoveries and customer stories. So definitely people like Fiona are the one who inspired us to do that. Without Fiona's stories, I would have never come up with that idea ever. So it's her grit to solve her own problem with her own means that inspired me and made me feel like we got to do something about that. That's number one. Number two, it is not everything. Yes, there is dark social. Yes, there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scene. Yes, a great comment is still meaningful and has weight. But the problem we want you to solve here is that CEOs and CMOs, they don't value those as we do. So we had to create something that's going to help the social media pros to get that hard data. Yes, it works. Look at the number. I still know that dark social is important, that the brand is benefiting from all that good stuff I'm posting on social. I know that because I do. I'm the pro, you're not. But I'm giving you the proof that you should keep investing in me and my team. And that's what we want you to solve. And I'm totally aware that when we see 9,000, we're in our report, when we see 9,000 is coming from social, I'm totally aware that we're probably missing 70% of that. There's probably a lot of word of mouth. How do you track freaking word of mouth? You can't. Where word of mouth is happening on social every day. You go on Facebook group and someone is asking, what tool do you use to manage social media? And everybody, oh, I use this, I use that. Okay, and Agora post is mentioned 10 times. How do you track that? You don't. You don't track that. So I'm aware that this is happening, and that's okay, and that's great. And you can actually do a lot to encourage that and push that and make more of that happen. But if you're measuring nothing, you're putting yourself in jeopardy. And that's what we want you to solve.
I love that. We were chatting in there. So shout out to Dr. Elo who's in the comments. We've had a couple of people come through. I really appreciate it. We were talking about, what isn't measured doesn't get managed. And I think the better that we as strategists, the better that we can support that and show as much like a 360 view of what we have to offer and why we deserve a seat at the table, then it makes it so much easier. And so having a tool that really keeps our team aligned in how we're measuring campaigns, how we're putting content out there, and giving that full picture view for our clients is so much more impactful.
Yeah, that's 100% right. I love your point, Eric, about how there's so much that we can't measure online when other people are posting in communities or talking about us and that sort of thing. But now with this tool and this new feature, at least internally, we can track nearly 100% of what we're doing, what we're paying our teams to do, or what we're doing on behalf of our clients. The other stuff is fantastic, you're right, and we want to encourage that. We want to look at that. There are ways that we can at least pay attention. We can listen, right, for the conversations that are having around our brand. But now we can track 100% of the revenue that at least our team is creating. And now they've become a profit center, as you so eloquently put it.
Yeah. Let me give you one very simple example that everybody will understand. We have free tools that we built because we want to do good in our community and help people with free stuff, free software. And one of them I think is amazing. It's our employee advocacy tool that's entirely free, and that there's no equivalent to that on the market. It's very simple and basic, but trust me, it does the job for probably 80% of companies who want to try and test employee advocacy without spending $1,000 a month. And what we can do now is we can do a Twitter listening. We've not done that, but I think we should, and we probably will soon. Do a Twitter listening for everybody talking about, does everybody knows about an employee advocacy tool? Are you doing employee advocacy? Do you have employee advocacy solutions? Blah, blah, blah. We could do a Twitter search on that. And every time someone is asking for an employee advocacy solution, say, hey, we build that free tool. It's probably not the ultimate tool that you would want to use and pay for once you know that employee advocacy works for you, but you probably would love to use that to test how you can engage your employees to share on social, and how you can make them happy to do so and win with employee advocacy. And once you've proven that it works, that you got the right messages, you know what to share, what not to share, what they're excited to do, what they're not excited to do, and you got your process and your thing in place, now you can move from something free that allowed you to A/B test or to test the water, to something that costs $1,000 a month, that's fine because now you've done the testing. And we could go ahead and say, hey, if you want to just test, have you done employee advocacy before? No, I've not. Well, you probably don't want to pay your $1,000 a month to see if it works for you. Here's a tool that can help you find out for free. Try it out. We put the link is tracked. We know how many people sign up for this. We know exactly how many people from the free tool convert to a paid clients because that we track. It's in our ecosystem, so that's easy for us to track. And here it is. That's a use case. But you know what? If there was no ability for us to track how that works, I would never push for that because, oh my God, it's going to be a huge distraction. And I don't want you to do that because we have no clue if this is going to work. Now we can find out. So let's do it and test and see if it works. And if it does, let's push it and hire someone to just do that, or just to go on Twitter and respond to people who have searches that our free tool can answer. So this, again, the fact that it can be tracked opens doors or windows, depend on what floor you're on, that you never had open before because you said, we will never find out if this is worth it. Let's focus on whatever else that we know we can measure and is more in line with our business strategy. So. Yep.
This is so much fun. So I had to take a look at the Easy Advocacy. So for those of you that are out there listening, this is a free tool. This is an opportunity for you to give this a shot and try it out. You could save time, activate your employees, get instant data easily. I mean, I feel like that's one of the things at Agorapulse. It's whatever makes it easily and effortlessly for you, then, easy peasy. I like that. Make sharing content easy peasy. It's one of those things. Mike and I, we always say that there are resources and relationships, and you never really know the relationships that your employees might have. Maybe they went to a happy hour, a conference, things of that sort. And sometimes it really just takes one person to push it out there, get you into a new bubble, a new circle, new network, and seeing how your employees can be involved. And that makes it very helpful.
True.
So there it is. Try it for free. And then figure out what it is and go from there. Thank you so much. Love it.
My pleasure.
Great. Mike, you use the employee advocacy tool quite often, don't you?
Yeah, I was going to say I've been using it for years. I use it for influencer marketing, in fact, because we have an ambassador program at Agorapulse, and I have a distribution list of all my ambassadors. And when I have something that I'd like their help to amplify, we've got a new article or something like that we want to push out to other audiences, I use that distribution list. And it's so much fun. There's even gamification inside the app. I can go back in later and see statistics and see, Ian Cleary had the most shares of that particular article and Donna Moritz was number 2. And then I can share that with our community of ambassadors and get them more interested, engaged. And we've even used that internally at Agorapulse. I know every time we use that tool internally, Aaron Lee is the top share, right, Emmerich? And you'll verify that. Aaron Lee is always driving the most traffic when we ask people internally to share that stuff.
Yeah, he has 1 million Twitter followers, so that's unfair from the get-go.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I got it. Here we are. I love it. That's awesome. That's amazing. Well, Emmerich, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Social Media Day Live in Paris. What are you going to do for the rest of the day?
What I'm going to do for the rest of the day, in 5 minutes, I'm going to head off to the train, get back home, get my, we have a manager training workshop that I'm heading in 1 hour about how to run effective one-on-ones. So that's what I'm going to do, but I need to head home because my wife is away and I need to go take my kid, my 8-year-old, at school. So that's what I'm going to do in the next couple hours.
I love it. And I love so much that you have so much effort into managing the teams and the leadership. So thank you so much for even just being here, supporting us, doing our very first Social Media Day live. Such an absolute pleasure to have you. And for those of you who don't know, we are actually hiring in Paris. Let me pull that tab up for you real quick, just so you can see what we have available. So if you know anyone that wants to join us, take a look at our jobs page. There's customer success manager and a US renewal manager in the US too. So we've got plenty of things. Oh, content manager in France. So much in here. You want to add anything else, Emmerich?
No, I mean, don't we have anyone in the US that we're hiring for? Yeah, here you go. Here,
yeah,
support.
West Coast USA positions. Boom, boom,
Support.
boom.
Yep.
And it's remote too.
Oh yeah, we've been mostly remote from day one. The The only office we have is in Paris, and it's mostly engineers and product and designers. And since COVID, before it was 4 days a week, but they wanted to be in the office because they wanted to collaborate with each other and being in the same room. I have to say that building a high-tech, high innovation product is much easier when you're in the same room. That's my experience. So I totally understood why they wanted to keep an office. And after COVID, we basically asked them, what do you think? Should we go all remote? Because everybody who is not in Paris is remote in our company. I'm mostly remote. I'm coming here 1 day a week. This is my day, Thursday, but the other days I'm working from home. And they said, nah, if we don't have an office, we don't want to stay. We need an office. I said, okay. So we have to spend a freaking fortune to to move to a bigger office in Paris because rent are really expensive here. But we feel that's the right thing to do, give them a place and give you a place when you come to Paris, when you do the marketing retreat, the sales retreat, the support retreat. They will be happening in Paris now because we have the space. Today we didn't have it, so it's gonna be fun. It's not fun for the one who live here, but who cares? It's fun for you. That's all that matters. So.
Hey.
Hey, I've seen the ping pong table. I've seen the Nerf ball, wall of ammunition.
Yeah,
You guys are having some fun in Paris.
not sure we're gonna keep these.
I've been there.
I know.
Love it.
Cool.
All right. Well, Emmerich, well, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you,
I
sir.
appreciate you too. Thank you so much for waking up so early.
Yay. Hey, for Agora Pulse? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
See ya.
All right. So having said that, thank you everyone that was here for that. We just want to show you a little bit of what it's like at Agora Pulse and where we kind of see ourselves in the next 5 years or so. So stick around because we've got a little bit more for you.
All right, let's get that queued up.
I think that's a great question. 5 years from now, I see two things happening. I see as a company growing very rapidly. We're highly successful and fast moving in our industry. And I think the one key thing that makes this company so awesome, even as we grow quickly, is we're going to maintain the awesome work culture that we've got.
Lo veo como el líder de la industria, una empresa madura, grande, en la que todos van a querer tener una cuenta.
Je dirais que dans 5 ans, on sera le leader sur le marché de la gestion des réseaux sociaux, sur le marché des agences et des petites et moyennes entreprises.
It will be much bigger than it is today. It will definitely surprise a lot of people. I basically see this company going to a place where a lot of people didn't expect it to go. That's where I see it.
Une croissance saine et équilibrée avec toujours la même attention à la culture de l'entreprise basée sur l'expérience client, l'excellence du service client et l'attention aux ressources humaines.
Oh my goodness, we're going to take over the entire industry. Everybody's going to not know how to say anything other than Agora Pulse, and we're just going to keep on rocking the free world.
Yay! So for those of you that are interested in working with Agora Pulse, I mean, obviously you've seen where the industry is headed, what we've been working on, how we listen to our customers. You could see just like the banter between Mike and I. It's a fun place to work at. So many ideas, so many opportunities. Go ahead and click on that link. See if it's a good fit for you or maybe even someone that you know. Again, I love the fact that it's done remotely. I'm here in San Diego. Mike, you're usually in St. Louis.
Right. And I've been working from home for years, but I've had the opportunity to come to Paris multiple times. I've worked out of the office. I've stayed with Emmerich. We've had the retreats. I've traveled to conferences. So I get that wonderful mix of being able to have that home base and still travel, get remote, meet the team, have those relationships. It's fantastic.
I love it. And so this is a wrap for us in Paris, but that doesn't mean that the show is over because next we're going to be hopping over into Germany. So I'm going to drop that in the link for you in the live chat. Hop on over there because then you're going to be learning a lot about Square 11, one of our really great interviews on how they are creating content and making that a seamless process because as I said before, simplifying things is the ultimate sophistication. Mike, did you have anything else to say about that Square 11 interview?
No, it's just fantastic. It's with Benedict Storr, the CEO and founder of Square Love, and they're a wonderful German team. You're also going to hear from one of our German ambassadors, Alex Kahn. And there's some other fantastic things happening in that segment, so stick around for that for sure.
All right. All right, let's do it. Let's hop on over to the next show.
Bye bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone. See you there.